Okay, trying this again to go live with Dawn. Let's see if it will add Dawn this time. Dawn, are you here? Hi guys, welcome. We're just seeing if we can. There you go. Perfect.
Yay! Can you see me okay?
You're still coming up.
Is it
There you are.
is it dark?
Perfect. No, it's
Okay,
perfect.
good.
Oh, wonderful.
We got it figured out. Yay.
We got this. We got
got
this.
it.
Brandon Snyder is watching. Brandon, thank you for being here. So glad. Dawn, Alexandra's here. Thank you, Alexandra, for being here.
Hey,
So
Alexandra. Hi.
this is so cool because little backstory for you guys who are watching this. And if you are watching this, let us know where you're watching from. But we're talking about the one person that you forget in relationships. And before we get into this, we just want to bring you guys in on Brandon, it goes great. And yourself? We're talking about, how we can forget this one person in all of our relationships. But we want to share with you guys where this conversation came from. This conversation came a year ago over a glass of wine and dinner in San Diego.
Yes.
And I had a big opportunity that I still can't talk about. Hopefully soon I can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I was telling Dawn, this big opportunity is coming. I'd really like to do something special. And it just came out of my intuition. And I said, Dawn, I think we need to do something together. I think we need to serve together. And this is what we need. This is the area where there's a big need. So I met Dawn years ago. How many years has it been since
I think it was in 2017 or 2018.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, 2018 maybe. Yeah. It was a while ago.
Yeah, and Dawn, I met Dawn through it was like a business training, and we just really hit it off. And as I got to know Dawn, I realized that Dawn had crazy gifted, like in terms of there's so many things that you're gifted at. But one thing that in my experience that I've experienced you in is, as human beings, we process through things. Things in life just kind of go, like this. And in those moments, when you're in the middle of an emotional storm, a spiritual storm, a relationship storm, it's very difficult to see what's going on in me. And I think, for someone like myself and maybe someone who's watching this who's more the independent type, it's like, well, let me just kind of research on myself and figure out what's going on. But sometimes you're just in so much pain that you're just like, I can't even do that. And I've reached out to you on several occasions in those moments of going, Dawn, like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But these are the emotions, these are the experiences that I'm having. This is the cloud of confusion that I'm under. And Dawn, you and your superpowers, you just have this laser targeted, just boom, seeing into the soul, seeing into the heart, seeing into the spirit realm of like, this is what's happening. And in those moments, I have every time I've gotten so much clarity. And I just know how powerful you are. And I know that there are people who are watching this, who are going through this, and they're going through relationship storms. And when I just experiencing you, I'm like, oh my gosh, what a gift you are to this planet.
Thank you. I can say the same about you, darling.
Thank you.
Yes.
And that's where this all comes from. It's just us having a conversation, me experiencing the power of Dawn and just going, I feel like we've got to create something together.
Yeah, there's a lot of chemistry between us, Erica, and when we sit down to talk and how things just kind of start to percolate and expand, and I love being in expansive conversations like we have. And when we started talking about relationships, we realized of course, there's a lot of people talking about relationships out there, but we want to do it from a totally, because Erica is a relationship expert. That is her jam. She has a huge YouTube channel, right? Which, you know, I'm sure people are aware of, but, so we're taking it from her expertise of relationship with my expertise of soul embodiment and creating something that we're so excited to share with you guys later. But yeah, I'm so this is going to be so fun, Erica.
I agree. I agree. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be life changing for the people who go on this journey.
Yeah.
And they're going to start off as one person, and then by the end of it, there's going to be such a radical shift and transformation that
Yeah.
the woman that they see in the mirror, they're just going to be like, I didn't know this was possible. And it's like, it was, it is, and now you get to live life from this place.
Yeah, it's going to be you know, we all have an identity and a way that we're operating. And there's always a higher option for us. There's always a higher self, a future self that we can start to look towards to want to embody and become. But typically there's a big gap and there's a challenge of how do I get to be the person I want to be in relationships, or how do I get to have the relationship that I want? And part of it is just understanding the identity that you're operating at. If you don't have what you want in your reality right now, something has to shift, something energetically. So there's the inner dynamic, and then there's also relationally how you're going to operate in this world. So Eric and I have the expertise to really take somebody at the beginning of this with what their identity is and really help them just completely shift, so that first internally, so that secondly their external reality starts to look very different, which is so freaking exciting because everybody either wants to be in a relationship or wants a better relationship, right? I mean, relationships are the currency of our lives.
Yes, 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 yes. I always use the analogy. I said, you know, when 9/11 happened, what a devastating day for all of us, for our country. And I said, you know, when 9/11 happened, no one was thinking like, oh man, I forgot the work and the deadline. Like I didn't finish my deadline, or oh my gosh, is my Ferrari in my garage? No one was thinking about that when the plane was going down. They were thinking about their loved ones. And if I could kiss my wife just one more time, if I could hug my children just one more time, if I could call my parents and let them know that I love them just one last time. It's like, our relationships, when push comes to shove and the floor comes out from underneath our feet, it's the one thing that is most precious and near and dear to our hearts. And
It's the fertile soil for growth. There's a richness to relationships, and a lot of people don't know how to always operate within them because of their prior wounding and trauma that creates a specific lens for how they're seeing their relationships. But when you come from an open heart and you start to really value and see that those relationships provide so much opportunity for love and growth, and it's like your whole world becomes so much more joyful and wonderful, because it's the relationships of the people that we surround ourselves with that create our reality, that help create our reality.
you know, Dawn, as much as I love figuring things out on my own, my biggest breakthroughs and expansions and really just feeling free all came through relationship.
Yeah, I joke and say that I have a PhD in relationships because I used to, in my former relationships, choose to learn the hard way. And I had many challenging and difficult relationships, but because of those relationships providing me a very beautiful sacred mirror to be reflected and see how I was operating from my wounds and what I chose into my reality at that time, I grew exponentially. So I feel like even if you're in a relationship right now and it's not exactly what you want it to be, it's still there to teach you something. It's still there to help you grow. I always say my greatest teachers have been some of my most difficult relationships.
It's so true. It
Yeah.
is so true.
Yeah.
Because if it rocks you to the core, then it's got to change you to the core if you're willing to open yourself up to that change.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you bring in relationships based on energy.
Mm.
And you bring it in based on the energy of what you're comfortable from with your upbringing, your early childhood. So if you had a lot of chaos in your early childhood, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be in a relationship where you, until you start to really heal and get to know yourself, where that relationship has a lot of chaos as well, because
Yeah.
it's exactly what you think is normal
Yeah.
until you start to realize and do the healing work and be like, no, this is not how I want to live. It doesn't feel fun for me. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And so, like, when we're talking about that one person that you forget in every relationship,
It's yourself.
damn
Right?
straight,
It's
damn straight.
yourself. And it's so fascinating because I work with so many women that come to me and their main complaint is my partner is doing this, or this, or so they're blaming and complaining and they want it to be better. And I always say to them, so it's either that scenario or they don't have a relationship and they're still blaming and complaining because they're upset that they don't have the relationship.
Mm.
And I always say, I know you want to focus externally outside of yourself. I know that that feels like the most natural thing to do because that you feel like that's what's causing the chaos in your reality. But actually, the work starts here. The work starts within ourselves,
Mm.
taking a look and taking inventory of our lives and how we've been showing up.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have self-awareness, we're disconnected.
Yeah.
If we're disconnected, that's going to cause us to not even see what's really happening in our reality.
Right. You know, Don, I remember years ago, I just started off with, it was a blog and I was writing just dating advice, fun dating advice, like Sex in the City style for women. It started in 2008.
Oh, fun. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, it was called Bella Gab, and it was just like this blog for women giving dating advice. But I really, and I had worked with therapists, I worked with counselors, I worked with healers, um, but still had some growing to do. And so when we talk about the one person that you forget is, yourself and relationships, I remember going through a journey where I met someone and it was just fell over the moon for them. And I had cultivated this habit of, and I think as women, we get inundated with fairy tales and like that some man is going to come and rescue us because that's what we're ingrained with. Is some man is going to come rescue you at some point. And so I meet this person and I'm in a place in my life where I have a lot of uncertainty. And this guy was just like, I was like, oh my God, this is my fairy tale. He's rescuing me. I feel lost. I feel uncertain. I feel confused. I feel insecure about where I am in my life. And this guy has just showed up and he is going to rescue me. And now that I know a lot more, don't know everything, but I know a lot more. One pattern that I could see in my relationships was that as soon as I got into a relationship, Dawn, all the self-care, all the work that I had been doing on myself stopped. And it was just like, well, he's here now. I got my prize. I did all the work and now I got my prize and we're good. And, that relationship ended up being devastating because I was just hoping that this person was gonna answer all the question marks in my heart, heal all the broken places in my heart, rescue me. And we've talked about this. We had the same business coach and she used to tell us in our group coaching, no one is coming to save you. And that would, every time she said that, I was like, will you please shut up? Just shut up.
It's
hated
triggering.
it was so triggering. I
Yeah.
hated when she said that. But inside of my core, I knew that there was truth to that. And so I just thought, okay, this person is going to save me. And then I forgot me. I just forgot all the things that made me me. And I saw myself do this in relationship after relationship. And it took just going through that time thing. It's like, how many times can I hit my head against the wall? It's like, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a pretty hard head. We'll find
Yeah.
out, you know? And
Me
so,
too.
right? And then it's just like, oh my God, like I cannot, every time that I forget me in a relationship, disaster, chaos, the poop hits the fan. Like it just doesn't work. It
Yeah.
never works.
No, it doesn't. Well, because we're deferring our power to something outside of us
Yeah.
to validate us and make us feel okay about something that is actually an internal job.
Yes.
Every single one of us wants to feel good.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to feel good within yourself, then
Mm.
you are going to look to somebody else. And especially if you grew up kind of taking care of one of your parents, or if it was chaotic, in order to feel safe and feel loved, you're making sure that they're okay, you know?
Yeah.
So it starts so young, right? And you're looking and you're like, okay, I gotta find somebody to kind of make sure that they're gonna show me that I'm gonna be all right, that I'm safe in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember those words that Katarina said, and it was like, yeah, nobody's coming to save you. And I remember having a very similar experience, Erica, where when I heard that enough times around that same time frame, I was in a very challenging relationship, and I was like, okay, yeah, nobody's coming to save me. I have to really take care of myself. That's a big piece of this. But what really got me was I was at that same time frame, somebody said, if you don't like the way your reality is right now, realize that you created it and that everything around you is part of your creation. Of course, there's certain things happen that are not our creation, right? I know there's accidents and different things like that, but I'm just talking about the things that we choice into.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, along with that, like nobody's coming to save you type of thing, takes, you know, really taking radical self-responsibility, I was just so, oh my God, wait a second. Because at that time I was in a very challenging relationship. So I'm thinking, wait a second, you mean to tell me that the chaos that is in my current relationship is not just his fault? Because I wanted to like peace out. Like, this isn't my problem. This is,
Yeah.
this is him.
Yeah.
But you know, without going into a whole thing with it, it was like, no, like there was a part of me that chose into that because I never learned how to feel safe within myself from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was wanting somebody else to do that for me. And I know there's so many women, and they're not, by the way, this is not even about like whether you're weak or strong. If you know Erica and I, we're both very powerful women. Some of the most powerful women that I work with do this, you know, because they learn that their self-worth is they think it's outside of themselves. It's like the job, the man, the this. If I have all these things, then I am safe in my reality. And it's not freaking true. It's just not. We have to do the work within ourselves in order to regulate our own nervous system, our own emotional, you know, the way that we're reacting to our reality. And so many people never, they co-regulate with their partner. Yeah. And that is another word for that would be codependency.
Absolutely. You know? Absolutely. When I went through that relationship, I remember a girlfriend coming to me and she said, you know, I really think in your work you should talk more about self-love. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. Because for me, self-love was like, it was the thing that you did to get something, which was to get your man. Mm-hmm. I was like, sure, I'll love myself to get my man. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I'll never forget, like I was always this person who had this like special magical relationship with God. I had one since I was little, and it's just always been there. It's like, if I don't have my relationship with God, I'm done. And so I heard this minister, this guy named Graham Cook, and he said something that changed my life. And he said this, and this can translate into any relationship. I had always took pride in the fact that I had this very special relationship with God, and I just love God so much and God loved me so much. And and he said this. He said, you can only love God to the capacity that you're willing and able to love yourself.
Mm, that's amazing.
When I heard those words, I was done. I was like, what? And that was so like, and so coupled that with my friend who's like, I think you need to talk about more self-love. And then hearing this minister say, you can only love God with the capacity that you are able to love yourself. That was when the world just started changing for me. And I was like, oh, this is like an ongoing relationship that I can never forfeit.
100%. And I'll take it one step further. I believe we can only be in relationship to another person and really receptive and open to love and giving it at the highest when we have that first within ourselves. So what he said about God is also how we relate to another person.
100%.
So if we don't know how to love ourselves, if we are rejecting parts of ourselves that we have shame or guilt or whatever it is, right? These lower vibrational frequencies, we are going to be not working at our full capacity.
Yeah.
So you're going to bring in, because everything quantum physics, we're going to vibrationally bring in a similar frequency.
Yeah.
So if somebody's shut down and they're not doing the work and they don't know how to love themselves, and it's probably because they haven't learned it yet, right? It's not because they don't want to, but they haven't learned it. They're going to bring in situations that continue to test and challenge them. And the thing is, and it's challenging in the sense that it's difficult and chaotic, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's chaotic within yourself. If you don't love yourself, there's going to be chaos within, because you are your own internal enemy. Your inner critic is going to be saying, I don't deserve this, I can't have this, or whatever it is. So when we really, I know self-love is so freaking cliche sounding sometimes, but it's the very thing that creates the resiliency for us to get through the more challenging times of life.
Oh my God, can you say that again? Holy cow.
It's self-love is the very thing that creates the resiliency to get through the challenging things in life. And we are going through a difficult time collectively on the planet. But when it comes to our relationships, it's not to say that once you heal yourself, all of a sudden you're not going to have problems in your relationship. Yeah. It's that you have the inner resiliency and inner knowing of how to navigate it. Oh, and you start to bring in different types of partners, because what was your old, kind of like, let's say, frequency and consciousness brought in certain type of partners. When you start to heal and raise your vibrational frequency, you'll bring in new type of partnerships, but there will still be issues, because in that loving force field, there is still growth, right? Yeah. And you still have to meet edges of yourself and be vulnerable. And if you don't know how to be vulnerable because you don't love yourself, then it's really challenging to sustain that frequency of that amazing relationship. So this is all the internal work that needs to happen in order to create the relationship with yourself first, so you can, bring in and magnetize the relationship that you desire.
Yeah. And I sometimes feel like that there are people out there, like for myself, when I heard self-love and all this, it's like there's something in the foundation. There's a big question mark of, but am I even valuable enough to love myself? And you and I have talked about this. You've been trained in trauma. I've done tons of research in trauma and processed my own trauma. And it's like, when there's no value for yourself, I think some people can hear something like this and go, why would I even invest in that journey of loving myself when I don't even feel like I'm freaking valuable? And it comes from our stories, our childhood wounds, our relationship with our parents, the love, the lack thereof. And it's just like, I don't feel like I hold anything valuable enough to put the effort in to even love myself.
Yeah. And you learned your blueprint for love from your mom and dad. And if they didn't love themselves and they're parenting you from that place, there's a pretty darn good chance you inherited this part of yourself that doesn't feel valuable or worthy. And so the greatest work you can do in your life is to step into the fact that you are inherently worthy. And it's about remembering. It's a remembrance of who you are on a soul level. It's our trauma creates the lens of why we can't see that. And healing isn't about I'm broken, I need to be fixed. It's I forgot who I am and I need to come back to myself into wholeness. That is what healing is.
Ooh.
We forget because of all these fragmented things that have happened, or what's happened in our life that creates like fragmentation within our being. But the truth is, when you start to go back and go, oh my gosh, I really wasn't taught how to love. If my mom did it, your mom's your first relationship you ever have in this life.
Yeah.
If your mom wasn't attuned to herself, if she was disconnected from herself, she taught you that.
Yeah.
So nothing's wrong with you. It's just that you have to relearn and remember who you really are.
Yeah.
So it's always a path of coming back home to ourselves, right?
100%.
So we can create the life that we want.
100%. I remember I always use that scene from The Lion King where Simba's just like running from life, and then all of a sudden he sees Mufasa in the sky, and Mufasa says, Simba, remember who you are. You are the rightful heir of the kingdom. And it's just like profound moment, boom. And it's so true. It's like we forget, but it's like I always tell people, like, even despite how your parents came together and how you came into this world, like in your DNA we are made of love. And if we can remember that soul essence of who we are, there is love there, and it's coming back to that place of inside of you there is love, and it's that remembrance of coming back to that. I love that.
Yeah, because I think everybody struggles with that on some level. Like, I think that is the human plight. Somewhere along the way in our early upbringing, for most of us, we created some story that we're not worthy of having the things we want. We're not worthy of the love or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And until you actually give yourself permission and say, I am, like, I'm going to figure out the places that made me feel that way. You know, I'm going to go back and investigate a little bit. But the thing is, this is the other thing, Erica. When I was, remember in the beginning of the conversation, I said, we have an identity. You're operating in a certain identity. Maybe for some of you, you're operating in an identity where you doubt that you are worthy, or that and you don't feel like you totally love yourself. But there is a version of you in the quantum field in the future that already exists, that already has the relationship that you want, that already has the embodiment of love that you get to be in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be always like borrowing from the past. We don't want to borrow from the past because the past is already done.
Yeah.
We're just kind of bringing back the energy that we left in the past from our trauma, right? Yeah. But we're going to co-regulate with our future self, not with an external version of a person outside of you. Your greatest opportunity in this lifetime for your relationship is to know that there is some version of you out there that is so freaking incredible that already has everything that you already want. And part of what Erica and I are going to do is help you get to know her. Yeah. So that you can call in what you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a big believer that if the desire is there, if that future self is like, yeah, I'm here. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. But a desire is always the seed to let you know that the answer exists, and the answer exists for you.
Yeah. And that seed is that feeling, right? The intuition.
Yeah.
That wait, my life can be better. If you have a desire in you, it's because you know on some level that things can be better. And it's always a choice that we have to make to say, I'm going to opt for that. I'm going to find what that is. And so if you're listening to this, you might be going, yeah, I want better, right. And so it's like, what do you need to do? What do you need to do to commit to yourself to get to that next level? And that's where I'm so excited, Erica, because our program called becoming. Becoming your best self, right? Become it's, you know, I love the word becoming, like who are you becoming? You know, so our program is going to really support women to get deep clarity on how to go from where you're operating at today to that, you know, really loving yourself so that you can create from that place and draw in. And with the feminine, we're magnetic. We get
Yes.
to draw in. It's not always about having to produce our future. It's about receiving our future.
Yes.
You know? So we're going to help you with that.
Yeah, and I think it really comes to a point where you just kind of you get tired of the chaos, you know, of when you don't choose yourself, when you forget about yourself, inherently you're forgetting, let's just break it down. When you forget yourself, you forget that you're loved. When there's no love, there's chaos, there's fear. So you have to come to that place where you go, how sick and tired am I of the chaos? And I'll never forget a girlfriend of mine. She said, Erica, I have watched you go from relationship to relationship. And she said, it's over. Enough of learning through relationships. It's time for you to be in a loving relationship, to be loved for who you are. And when she brought that clarity, there is a part of me that goes, yes, I am tired of the chaos that comes with inviting relationships that are not fulfilling, that are more challenging. And yeah, I get to grow in those, but the fulfillment never comes, you know? It's like, I'm like, this is exhausting. And in order for me to shift out of that to bring in the kind of relationship that I really wanted and want and have, it was getting tired, but then getting laser focused. Like I was just like, it was so interesting. When I was dating, it was just very much like someone would come in and I'd go, no. And someone else would come in and I go, no, no. And I remember like, I was like, I want to live in the south of France and I want to be in love in the south of France. And I remember I was in Portugal for a bit and I was like, I'm not even going to date in Portugal because I don't want to live here. I'm not going to date until I was in Bali. I'm not going to date until I get to the south of France. It was like, it's making that decision of no more chaos and then having the laser focus of going, I am committed to this and nothing is getting in my way.
Yeah, I love that. And having a non-negotiable relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Because the moment that whether you're single or you step into the relationship, and what you were saying earlier, Erica, is like how the chaos is created because you forget yourself and you start to want to match what they're doing and be the person they want you to be. And that is not sustainable. It's not sustainable in your life. It's never going to allow you to be fully in your power. So you need a timeout sometimes in life to be like, who am I?
Yes.
And that question should always be asked, because if you're doing it right, you're always evolving. You have I believe in an unscripted life. Like if you can predict where your life is going to be like for the rest of your life, that means you're not living excitingly enough, right? Like there should be some fun and grace and miracle energy there. But, you know, asking who am I and giving yourself an opportunity to come within yourself and do the work so that you can stop creating all this chaos and start to bring in different type of relationships. And I love what you're saying, Eric, because I'm not dating in Bali or Portugal. Like you were very clear that this is what I want and I'm going to continue to be devoted to that vision.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, being like, for every one of us to be devoted to a vision of who we can become.
Yes. And the vision and what I got and what I brought in was, it was bigger than what I imagined.
And that's the one thing I love about Futuring is that usually that's why I say life should be a little unscripted, because you have an idea of like, I want this, but I'm leaving room for grace. And then what comes in and drops in usually is way better than you could have ever imagined.
Way better. And I kept telling everyone, I said, oh, I'm going to move to France and I'm going to meet a French guy. And so many people said to me, but what if you move to France? And they said this, and it was like, when they said this, I knew my intuition, be open, Erica, be open to the magic. And they said, but what if he's not French? And I was like, oh, I didn't think of that. And they're like, you just, you know, you have those intuitive friends that you bring into your life. And they're like, what if he's not French? And I'll be damned, he wasn't French.
I know, right? Isn't he German?
He's German.
Yeah.
And I was
It's
like, yeah, oh, wow.
well, and that's, you know, staying open and trusting, right?
Yeah.
Trusting yourself, trusting the knowing that you have. And it's so funny because I had the same feeling that the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with was not going to be in San Diego.
Wow.
And so many women are like, "Oh, I need to meet somebody in the place that I live." I mean, you and I are kind of like you know, we're very big thinkers. You're like, I'm going to move to France, you know, like not only were you going to move to the south of France, but you were also going to meet your person there. And,
Yeah.
you know, for me, I was like, I just don't think my person, I could feel it in my body. I was like, he's not going to be from San Diego, and he's not, he's in Idaho. And so it's kind of, but it's like, it's that openness and trusting our intuition and being really clear on what's most important for us and what we value, because it comes from that non-negotiable place of getting to know ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
And not sourcing out, like once you're in that relationship, not like what the person finds sexy and alluring and magnetic about you when you first start a relationship, especially if you've been doing the work on yourself, is how embodied you are. Right. And so if you get into a relationship and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to stop doing these self-care rituals that I've been doing because those self-care rituals make me feel centered in my being. You know, I'm going to stop working out as much because he doesn't like it when I go work out in the mornings or something. What? No,
Yeah.
those are the things that make you you.
Yeah.
And so if you stop doing those things, it's because there's a part of you that doesn't trust yourself, that you can have what you want in your life without having to sacrifice or fully compromise yourself for that. So that's why the inner work is so important, because when you get into a relationship that's really juicy and potent and amazing, we're both in one, Erica and I, it demands another level of you. So not only are you have to keep your self-care rituals, but in order to expand and grow, you're going to be on the edge of your seat in a good way. So
Yes, every day I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm just like, this is really freaking uncomfortable. I'm like, what about those old safe relationships that felt so safe? And I was like, this doesn't feel safe in a good way. I'm constantly on my edge, and I'm like, yeah, but those safe relationships were disastrous. And
they felt safe because they were dysfunctional, and we felt we had a level of control in them.
Boom, mic drop. And that's what we're going to be offering you guys. We're going to be sharing the link pretty soon in the comments. But, you know, if you're tired of the chaos and you're like, you know what, in my soul, in my heart, I believe that there is something out there that is bigger and better than what I continue to experience, then we are going to present you with an invitation to go on a journey to become the woman that can be loved for who she is, but who is not afraid to choose herself, who doesn't forget herself and continues to choose herself every day of her life. And we're so excited to take you on that journey.
Yeah, Becoming is going to be an amazing program. It's a 3-month program. It's going to start around the second week of December. We'll be taking into account that, you know, there's holidays and stuff, but we really want you wrapping up this year, closing out that past version of yourself that you're no longer going to be operating from, and really starting the new year with a vision of who you're becoming, to that version of you that's going to receive the love and the things that you want. Because first you love yourself, and then the love comes in from the external world. So we do have early bird pricing. So we will be dropping it. If you guys are listening to this and you're like, I want details now, I want to talk to one of you, just private message us, and we'll get you the information. But we'll be sharing the link here soon. And so excited to start welcoming in the women that feel such a deep, you'll know in your body when you're listening to us talk that this is going to feel like a yes for you, because you're ready. Like you're going to feel it. And Eric and I are, as you can probably tell, we love to tell stories. We have such embodied wisdom. There's a lot of people out there teaching things that they don't really know that much about from an experiential place.
No.
I am highly trained. Erica's highly trained. It's great to have trainings, but if you haven't lived a life that's taught you a lot of the knowledge,
Yeah.
that you have, it's not integrated. And so one of the things I love about Erica and I's body of wisdom is it's integrated, it's embodied. We live it. This is not just like us coming on here and doing this, just wanting to sell some gimmicky thing. This is really like, this is our life's work. This is our truth. And that transmission energetically will shift you radically when you're in this container with us, because it's a very high touch container.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I love
So
that you even speak with such clarity too. I'm like, damn, yeah. What she
Likewise.
said. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
What she said. What
That's
she
why
said.
we work well together, girl. We say the things.
Yes, yes. Well, guys, we can't wait to share this with you. Thank you for being a part of this. And we'll be back with some more Facebook Lives to share more in detail with you guys coming soon.
Yes. Thank you, Erica. I'll see you soon.
See you soon, babe.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.